Hey guys, this is Andarin27. We are back again in Timberborn. So, from our last episode, if I recall correctly, we are just in the middle of the longest drought, 29-day drought, and I feel pretty confident in our ability to weather it, but it is going to be pretty tight. That said, if we can weather it, then from here on out there's nothing we can't, as long as we're being careful with our growth. So this is an early access game. There's not a lot of content to be had yet, although we have not really even gotten into some of the more advanced stuff. And so I just want to kind of talk over my plan for the remainder of this series with you. I'm thinking, the way I record these, I record 1 or 2 episodes every morning. It is getting harder to get episodes on Timberborn just because of all the jump cuts that have to go in. That said, I think there is still some stuff I'd like to do. I don't want to necessarily just survive. I want to get to Ironhaven to thrive. So my thought is, there's a little bit of an offset here because of how I started. At the moment, I have videos. This is a Monday morning that I'm recording this, and I have videos through Wednesday of this week. That said, I'd like to end the series on a Friday, and I don't think I necessarily want to end the series this Friday. I think there's a lot more I can do than 2 recordings worth. So my thought is, I'm going to record this week and videos for next week, and then we're going to wrap the series up wherever that may be. And hopefully that gets us a thriving city and not a dead one. Obviously, if the droughts end up killing us off, then that's the end. So we're going to go ahead and plan on that. And then I'm not exactly sure where I want to go next. So some ideas I've been playing with are maybe a RimWorld series. I have the Dyson Sphere program that might be interesting. It's been a long time since I've done Satisfactory. That could be fun to do. So I'll think on that, and when we get to that point, we will see where the wind takes us. So that said, let's go ahead and get into our game. We are 8 days out, 1500 water. I mean, that's going to be kind of tight, but we did keep our population down. We're not making new beavers, and we're continuing to grow this out. I don't think that we'll have any issue surviving this. What I would like to do, obviously we need to keep drought proofing. This is doing what it can, but it is still struggling. One thing I had thought about, I've been toying with the idea of possibly expanding up here, or alternatively taking my beavers and running a ditch along through here. Now, I don't think that's necessarily the best idea because we've already expanded our industry up here, so maybe we don't do that. But that said, we could expand, and I'm looking at some of these water items. So the pumps do have a limit to how far down they can go. That said, it looks like it's pretty far. There we go. It can go down, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we could actually come up with a system where we pump up. Oh, I guess it says it on there. That's silly of me. Maybe I should read these cards more often. We're not ready for a deep mechanical water pump, and getting that 700 horsepower would be difficult to say the least. But we could certainly expand, and we could probably draw some water up and out, maybe even by beaver power. These, the water dump and the deep water pump are not expensive items, and probably just start fabricating ourselves some artificial reservoirs. Like right here, for example, would be a great place to put down an artificial reservoir. dam off the thing here, and we could run it over. It gives us even more water to draw on. So there's a few options that we could do to keep on doing that. That said, I've hardly finished up here, so we're gonna keep running like that. I just think we're gonna also keep expanding, so let's go ahead and get this up. I will say, one thing that I've found interesting as I've been doing this, and it leads me to say that I would actually recommend everyone should try doing a YouTube channel. It's not because you want to make it big. That's not why I'm doing this. I don't have any illusions that I'm that funny that people wouldn't necessarily want to listen to me. That said, if you are, I do appreciate you being here. But I do think it is a really interesting thing to listen to yourself. You know, and I'm a big believer in constantly improving yourself. There's lots of things to do in life and lots of skills, and the only way you get those skills, honestly, is to develop them. If you want to become a speaker, you have to speak. If you want to become an engineer, you have to go to school and you have to learn how to use mathematics and critical thinking and how to examine problems. That's what I went to school for. I got a degree in engineering, and that's those skills take practice. You don't just become good at them. There's some people that are particularly talented in things, but I guarantee they've had to work hard to develop those skills. And YouTube's a great way to become better at speaking. I'm really coming to believe that. Just from listening to these videos, I notice that I say and so and all right way too much. If you've been following me along this whole time, you know that. I'm sure it's annoying at times. I certainly find it annoying. And so I'm making conscious efforts not to say those things. Not making very great conscious efforts, obviously I still say them a lot. But, baby steps. These are little things that I'm trying to do to improve myself, and I think that anyone can do that. Everyone can improve themselves just a little bit, and that can be a phenomenal way of learning to speak better. So when you're going through, I think that's why I think everyone should do a YouTube channel, so you can listen to yourself. You can learn to edit videos too. That's not a skill I had before this, and I'm sure it shows, but I'm having fun learning it. And do I think I'll ever use it? Probably not. But it is still a skill. And you never know. When I went to school for engineering, I fully expected to get into a firm and start learning how to design, and so far that hasn't actually happened. I work at a construction company as an estimator and a project manager. That's not to say that the education was a waste. I certainly don't feel it was. But that said, it's not what I had in mind. So, learning skills is always valuable. If at the very least, you never know when something could come in handy. So I'd really recommend everyone take on something. Go learn how to do something new. And just relish in the challenge. What else is there to do in life? If you're not growing, you're just dying. in a very literal way, right? Every one of us is one step closer to death, one day at a time. And I think make the most of life. Take advantage of what time you have to go and make yourself the best you can be. That said, enough of a pep talk from Andarn 27. Let's see where we're at here. I know I've been kind of just talking and looking. There's not been too much, and I just wanted to make sure I had something to go over, and it seemed like a good idea. Kind of go over my experience as I've been starting this, and I've only been at this not even 2 weeks, and it's been an interesting experience, so I felt I wanted to share that with you. Now, that said, starting to get a couple of beavers dying. Are they the ones over here? Do we need to migrate a few more people over? No, we still have 6 adults over here. Thinking, let's just extend our road network and see how far it can take us. One area I'd like to do, because I do actually enjoy this, the range that you have is dependent on length of travel. You know, if I have a beaver house over here, I could see how far they'll go or how far it'll take. They'll go anywhere in the district. Doesn't seem like they'll go beyond the district, but they'll go anywhere in the district, and you know, the redder the line, the longer it's going to take them to get there. So laying out a good traffic plan is probably not a bad idea. In fact, I think it's a must in this game. So beavers take a long time to get up here. Let's improve that. And I am watching that water. The 3 days out, we have 700. I'm thinking we'll be fine. If we make it to within a day, our beavers will survive. So I'm not too worried on that front. So let's run up a stair here and get our path going like this. And I think that'll be a lot more efficient. And yeah, now instead of red, this is all yellow. Where else do we want to go? It's all red up here. People that live at the very top of these, they're going to have a long ways to go no matter what. That said, it's not that bad. Oh, we actually losing blueberries? Yeah. Yeah, I definitely want to keep expanding our water. But we're doing just fine there. At one point, I think I actually cut this out of the video when it came down to it. I had talked about throwing up a second explosives factory. I do think that would still be a really good idea. We just need the water to support it. But, you know, we've added 1,200 water back here. And I'm thinking actually over here in the reservoir district, I may want to add a water pump just for them. That said, before I do that, I'm thinking if I were to do that, I want to put it over here, and we don't have dynamite over here just yet. So let's go ahead and run ourselves a path over that way so that these explosives finally get put down. And they'll go do that, and we'll get ourselves some water over here and pump it out into the reservoir district. And that way, if we ever have to use Project Phoenix, that's what I decided to call it in post, then you know they'll have what they need. They can pull water up. They'll have a large amount of storage, and the beavers in this district will be able to survive. I'm also looking at it. I've been neglecting these poor guys long enough. Let's go ahead and get them some housing. I mean, a lot of times they're just sitting here doing nothing. So there's no reason that we can't do a little bit for our beavers over here. I want to see what these row houses do. They don't house as many. But maybe space-wise, they're better. So, oh, they're 3 tall. They house 5. That's so... They house 5, but they only have a space of 2. So compared to these barracks, well, like the regular barracks holds 10. So in the space of that, these would hold 15. They're taller, so that would be their downside probably. That's interesting. Well, do I have enough science for this? I do. Let's just get this and take a look at what it is. So this holds 8. Same thing, it's 4 tall instead. I'm not sure. That's interesting. 340 water left, and the drought is over. So we actually made that, and it was not that big of a deal. And especially now, we'll get all this water filled up. We should have plenty of storage. I feel much more confident at this level of our survival. So let's go ahead. I've been talking a lot, actually, but you know, that's kind of the point. Let's go ahead and fill this up so we can get some of our beavers going. This will fill up regardless. One space is not enough for 4 source blocks to ever flow through. It'll fill up until it starts spilling over all of them. So we'll just drop that down for now and let it fill up that way, and that way our beavers can keep working the water. We don't want anybody dying at this point. That would just be silly. Oh, I just noticed something interesting, and I'm curious if it'll happen again. Maybe if it doesn't, I'll have to edit that little piece of the video footage in. But one of the beavers came in and actually installed an explosive from on top of the cliff. So apparently, this installation only depends on horizontal placement. That's kind of what I'm getting from this. If that is, that seems like that might be a little bit of an oversight. I don't think you should be able to work from up here and install an explosive all the way down here. But all in all, it's not that big of a deal. Just kind of an interesting thing I noticed. So, I want to make sure these get done. Yeah, there they go. And bam. Yeah, it seems like that might be a little bit of an oversight on the devs' part, so I doubt that they will ever watch my video, but that would be one of my recommendations, is make it so that it's not just a horizontal requirement. You know, these things should make a little bit of sense. So, there we go. Yeah, I'll do a little bit more and bring you back in a second. Well, guys, as I always do, I enjoy showing you the explosions, so we're going to go ahead and arm all these and detonate them. Never tried doing this, so this should actually be kind of fun. Let's go ahead and see. I always love it. Alright. So when we are looking at our next drought in just one day, and they have not filled up all of this water like I would have liked them to. That said, we do have our 2 pumps here. I guess I never did show you. I'm sure you saw it a little bit in my last video, but I put in a row house, a large row house here. In terms of vertical spacing, this probably is not as efficient. But for what I need, it works. It's as modular as it can be. So all in all, I think this is a pretty good trade-off. We are getting our emergency water up here. Our food is still doing just fine, and we're keeping 100 in here, although now that we have a few more beavers, I may want... You know, we should really have some storage back in here. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a large warehouse. And tuck it right in here next to the other water tank, or next to the water tanks. And it'll take them a while to build, but that's alright. And then we can start storing things, and we'll have ourselves a proper district for our beavers to live in over here. Won't be completely sustainable or self-sustainable. It will still depend on the farms from the city center district, but it's pretty decent. There's our drought, 23 days. We'll make this no problem. So let's go ahead. They'll keep pumping and filling, so I'm not too worried there. We'll go ahead and let them do their thing for a little bit. And I think... I mean, I would like them to fill up all of this storage, so maybe what we need to do is get just a few more water pumps, although where to put them is becoming something of an issue. But a few more water pumps. Oh, the other problem with that would be just the number of employees that I have, so maybe we bump this up by another 12. Let's go ahead, we'll produce another set of kits, and once these ones are all born, we'll go ahead and turn them off and get ourselves a little bit more in the way of production going. I think getting that second set of explosives is going to be a must. We are definitely doing better. I mean, I think this level of water reserves can keep our beavers alive for a decent amount of time. At this point, it's all about raising our population. So we're going to do that. We're going to get ourselves some pumps. I'm not sure where, but we'll figure something out. Could probably throw some down in here. Could throw a few up in here. And maybe that's where we end up going. And welcome back, guys. So our beavers are still continuing along. We are definitely working on getting these up. I am noticing all these pumps are definitely causing a drain on our water supply, but that's probably still okay. I mean, we've got 15 days to go and our water storage is getting a little low, but on the flip side we have 4,000 stored, so even if it does run out, I'm not super worried. Although I've said that before and been proved wrong, so who knows? I don't know why they get exhausted. Maybe I have my guys working too long in hours. Should I turn that down? I'm okay with that in principle, but I want to go ahead and actually get myself a labor monument. These do cost a lot of science, but I think it could be really beneficial. 200 logs, it's a tad expensive. That said, not prohibitably so. So let's go ahead. Where do I want to throw this? I'm thinking up here. Either up there or down here. I don't know that it makes a difference, really. Let's put it down here then. We'll throw it over here on the corner. Let them build that. I did bump up our population, and some of our kits have already grown up. So, and I added two water pumps over here, which have got our water full up. So we're looking all right there. Go ahead and let some more water in here. I will say that's one of the most annoying things is the manual. It gets a little tedious. If I were to make a suggestion to the developers, I think a good idea would be create a job, and I don't know how hard this would be to program, but create a job where you have a beaver, say maybe he's here or here, who mans the floodgates, and set one of these stream gauges and give him instructions so that if or when the water level reaches a certain depth, he goes and opens the floodgate, and when that water level hits a certain level, whatever one you set, then he goes and closes it again. Takes away some of the tediousness of monitoring it yourself. Maybe you pause that job if you do want to monitor it yourself, if you're starting to run low on water. But that way when you're going, you don't necessarily run the risk of forgetting about it. You don't have to worry about forgetting to close it, and just in general, you just don't have to worry about it. It would take away a lot of the tediousness during the droughts and let you focus on more important things. That's just one thought that I had as I'm playing this. So, let's see here. Well, that said, I did notice So I did throw down another gatherer here. I think I did that off screen. We weren't harvesting chestnuts, so I wanted to get the chestnuts harvested. Just provide us that extra bit of food. They are eating them all. We've also got a potato surplus and a flour surplus. So obviously we can get ourselves another bakery. Probably not a bad idea. So I'm going to go ahead, throw down a bakery, just keep ourselves up on that food as we're growing our population out. We've had our fair share of food problems in this town. And along those same lines of thought, let's go ahead and throw ourselves down another grill as well. And set this one to potatoes. Just right here. We do have haulers. 5 haulers working, so they should be able to keep it stocked. And once those are up, I think we'll just keep the food coming. Make sure that we're not running out on that. 12 days to go and very low on water. But again, I've got 3,500 water stored. I think that should see us through to the end. And most of that is because they were still filling the water tanks after the drought started, which is why I added some more. That's why I added some more pumps. We want to make the most of when the water's flowing. If we get to the drought and we are still filling the tanks, that's not a good thing. So I want to get where we can fill these things clear full between droughts. I think that's all our water. Well, not quite. I'll just keep an eye on it. I don't think it's going to flow too much more. I don't want it to overflow, but water at this point, water back in the reservoir probably doesn't get used. That does look like we filled up as full as we could get, though. Yep, okay. So we're out of water in the reservoir. And that's fine. This water will last probably 1 or 2 more days, and then we'll just have to get it through to the end of the drought. And hopefully these pumps will make a difference. If not, we'll have to expand out even further. I'm not totally sure how to do that at this point. I mean, we pretty much lined the river with these pumps. We could start lining the reservoir with pumps, but that doesn't necessarily seem like the most productive course of action to me. They finished our storage. So with that said, I think I want to go ahead and, rather than just carrots, let's go ahead and start throwing some bread over there as well. So we'll just keep them stocked with 100 bread, because we have plenty of that. Obviously we have plenty of carrots. Carrots are always going to be an important part of our beaver's life, and how important just kind of depends, but they're the easiest crop to get. They have the most tolerance for droughts. They don't die in an instant if they get dried out. So carrots will always be an important part of our beavers' lives, I would say. So we're going to go ahead and let them do that. And I'll bring you back here in a little bit. I don't have too much to do at the moment. Mainly just need to think about what we're going to do. In this district, we do have 5 unemployed beavers. I had mentioned wanting to have a bit of a surplus before. I feel like that's definitely the case here. That said, I mean, this was a shorter drought. and we ran out of water entirely too quickly. So I do want to get our explosives production going faster. That's just going to require 4 more beavers working. So I'm going to go ahead and lay that out and bring you back, and that'll probably be where we end this video. I'm pretty close to a half hour worth of material, so give me a second. I'll have you back in a bit. Alright guys, welcome back. So some of our beavers did start dying off, so I've turned our breeding pods back on. We'll get another dozen in here. Also, we are 5.5 days out on this drought and still have a couple thousand water in our city center district. So I think we will be just fine. I think we can make that last. I don't see that being an issue. I did go ahead, I did get this up and running. I also, oh no, oh dear, they can't reach that. Now here's where you have to be careful when doing these kind of things, I guess. So now I have to rebuild a whole segment. There we go. They should be along shortly to build that. So we'll get ourselves a second explosives factory. We have built up a fair bit of paper reserve. That said, I doubt one paper mill can keep up with 2 explosives factories. Just looking at it, it's producing 2 paper every 1.5 hours. It needs 3 paper every 3 hours. So really 6 paper every 3 hours to keep up. So we're technically not even able to keep up with just the 1. Now that I think about it, if we're only producing well, I guess that's not fair. We're producing 4 every 3.2 hours. So it's able to build up that surplus, but it's definitely going to burn through it now that we have a second explosives factory. That said, we'll burn our surplus up, and then we'll deal with the paper factory when we get to that point. Alright, look at our beavers go. I should probably go ahead and get rid of a little bit of these roads so that they can dynamite those. But yeah, our beavers are doing pretty good. I definitely do not like how fast we ran out of water. If this was a 29-day drought, I would be terrified right now that we would have to go to Project Phoenix again, or Plan Phoenix again. Not a good situation to be in. Do we still have 8 beavers over here? We do not, so we'll migrate a couple over. Keep that district fully stocked. I'm also slightly worried for our trees, but we'll make it work. Whatever happens, we'll make it work. So, alright, get ourselves some bread going, get ourselves some grilled potatoes, and we should be good on food. I just can't help but think, if I had just realized that the builders came out of the district centers, that this would have all gone much quicker. But maybe not. If I recall correctly, I think they were actually struggling to keep up with the production that I had on them already. So, and yeah, we've run over time, so I'll see us through to the end of this day, and we will call it there. Not too bad. I feel like there's plenty to be optimistic about here in Ironhaven, but there's room for improvement. There's definitely room for improvement. Still, we're making good progress, and soon enough we'll just keep on expanding out, and we'll make sure that, like I said, I don't want to leave the town of Ironhaven just barely hanging by a thread. When we end this series, I'd like to have it a thriving city. Oh, did I? No, I think I'll get it. There's that building from up the cliff again. So, but I do want to go ahead and, you know, and say if you are if you like what you're seeing, leave a comment down below. I will be sure to answer them, and you know, like the video, subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Well, I'll wait just a second, and I'll give you 2 see you in the next ones this time. There we go, water's back. Alright, so again, like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.